The following is a fan-based commentary and for educational purposes only. Do not engage or encourage harassment towards anyone shown in this video. Invincible is owned and produced by Skybound Entertainment, Amazon MGM Studios, Robert Kirkman, Corey Walker, and Ryan Otley. The Amazing Digital Circus is owned by Glitch Productions and Gooseworks. Avatar: The Last Airbender, The Legend of Korra, and The Legend of Aang are all owned by Nickelodeon Animation Studio, Avatar Studios, Paramount Global, Michael Dante DiMartino, and Brian Konietzko. Please support the official releases. Thank you.
Soulja boy, I been it. Why me crack it? Why me roll? Why me crack that Soulja boy? That Superman? That why
me? Hey y'all. Yeah, I know 2 uploads in a year is crazy, right? I want to get straight to the point here. The art discourse online lately has been... And I've been trying to hold my tongue because I'm an illustrator by trade. However, I have animated before when I was in school for art and design. But I'm very aware of what it takes to produce animated media, whether they are shorts, commercials, reels, pilot episodes, or entire movies. I know because I want to be a part of it one day. If you're not in the know of what's happening online, I'm going to try my best to summarize it as quickly as possible for those who want to know. However, as quickly as possible doesn't necessarily mean a short video, so forgive me if the runtime is over an hour. What can I say? I'm passionate about animation and art. I don't know what else to say. Anyway, before I yap about my thoughts on this online discourse, I feel we need to come to an understanding surrounding animation and how the movies and shows you love are made. No, I am not animating. I don't feel like it, but watch some old clips of me when I used to stream. Yes, there will be a test, but I'll summarize it. Popular animated films and shows are made largely in 3 stages: pre-production, production, and post-production. Pre-production is usually the most time-consuming, and depending on who's producing the animation, it often is a proof of concept for those producing the animation who are going to pitch their IP or animation to a larger studio, company, or corporation. Pre-production includes writing the script, sketching storyboards, which is basically like comic strip style mapping for those who don't know, creating animatics, which is again moving the storyboards with audio, and character design, prop design, and environmental design. For major works that are likely to be shown in theaters, it can take months, if not years, to complete. For indie production, there's no definite time frame because each indie project is different and goes through different processes. In my opinion, pre-production is the most fun part of the animation process because it's the part I want to be a part of one day. Somebody hire me, please! Production is like the meat and potatoes of the process. This is when animators take all that was made in a pre-production phase and basically use it to figure out how they animate. There's also processes like modeling and surfacing, rigging, lighting, and rendering. Finally, in post-production, there's usually compositing, which is basically layering different visual effects, final editing, sound design, and of course musical scoring. Without one of these steps, the animation fails to be complete. The entire process can take years, if not decades, to complete, depending on the different teams during each of these phases. Each team has to bring the overall vision behind animated movies and shows, whether it's indie or corporate, to life for viewers to see. With all this being said, I've come to the conclusion that animation fans, or at least some animation fans, okay, they don't understand animation, and they don't understand how animation is made, but they feel familiar enough with it to talk about it. There seems to be a major disconnect between fans of animation and those who've either animated before or are animators themselves and are fans of animated content. But I might be getting ahead of myself here. Let's start with talking about one of my favorite comics turned animated shows in recent years. That's right, you love it, you hate it, and I don't think y'all deserve this. I had to wait for animations to be finished before I could talk about it with anyone else. And that's even if someone else near me in my school or church or who knows what else knew about the show that I was talking about. Y'all are spoiled from excellent quality free indie media. You're spoiled from updates about your favorite animators and animation studios. You're even spoiled from these IPs participating in memes. They're doing internet culture. You got, like, this was unheard of in the 90s and early 2000s. Maybe not virtually unheard, but you get the idea. That's not even to mention how much you've been spoiled on leaks. We'll get to that in a second. Like, y'all can't even handle a filler episode. Not even 10 years ago, you'd be lucky if any of this was happening for your favorite animated show or movie, and I think that you all are being spoiled is what leads to thoughts and attitudes like this. A lot of people have trash talked the animation of Invincible. I would like to say that I personally don't mind the animation of Invincible. I think it works for the kind of story being told, and I'm not mad about how it doesn't look exactly like the comic because it's animation, not sequential art. Something else that I'm familiar with, if you don't know, I've been working on a comic with my friend from school for a while now. It would mean the world to me if you checked it out. Link in the description. So in the comic book industry, making deadlines is somewhat different than making deadlines in the animation industry. You don't have to make the characters move, for example. Only give the character an illusion of movement on a still page. And details like flowing blood and costume design are hard to animate on a limited time frame, especially for a show with an average runtime of about 45 to 55 minutes. The show's producers have released a season almost every year. 2021, 2023 through 2024, 2025, and this year, 2026. 4 seasons, 32 episodes by the time I'm uploading this. All this in mind, it makes me think that either the fans of the show don't understand what goes on into its creation, or they're spoiled. Like, if you understand what's going on and you're still mad about all the stuff that I just mentioned, like, you're spoiled. You're spoiled. You want your Baba. You want your Milky. You know, you want your Goo Goo Gaga. That's you're a spoiled baby. Certain excuses, you know, and talking points of, oh, the animation looks bad. Well, let me ask you this. What is good animation? What do you define as good animation? Because ultimately art is subjective. So in my opinion, good animation is just animation that communicates the story, idea, or concept well enough for the viewer to understand what's happening. However, that's not what good animation is to people who have issues with it in the show. Why are some people not happy with the animation of Invincible? Well, I'll be the first to admit there are moments where the animation feels a bit slideshowy, you know? Sure, I'll give you that. But y'all don't complain when other shows use similar techniques to animate their character. Instead of using their animation budget for animating every micro movement a character could make, even if they did that, it would look real uncanny if it wasn't rotoscoping. Even rotoscoping takes a lot of work. Another excuse is, oh, they put too much money into voice acting. I used to agree with this critique, and I still partially agree with it, but I don't think that the voice actors are to blame for what makes the animation bad for some people. I'm not a huge fan of celebrity voice acting in general because I don't think you have to be a celebrity to be a good voice actor, or for people to watch the show. You just have to be a good voice actor. Though I do think the main cast of voice actors in the show are doing a good to decent job. However, I think it would be nice if voice actors were paid well, the animation team was paid well, and both of them were given ample time and resources to make something that fans would absolutely love. The budget for Invincible is about 2.7 million per episode, give or take, like 2.7 million. Amazon could totally spare some money for the animation department if they wanted to. Another thing that I hear is, oh, they don't pay their animators enough. True! Simply out of the principle that I want all animators to be paid more than well so they can make the best animations I can see. Though the median salary of an animator at Amazon is about $39 an hour. I googled it, okay? If it's wrong, it's wrong, I'm sorry. Which in a state where the living wage is about $25 an hour, I think the animators are doing okay. However, the fact that the animators are paid well or aren't paid well isn't an excuse to absolutely dogpile the animators or their animations. Animation takes time and skill that most of y'all, myself included, don't have. Reminder, 4 seasons, 45 to 55 minutes per episode in 5 years. That's a clutcher timeline than most good anime. It feels like y'all are used to Eastern animators who slave away for pennies on the dollar for popular anime that have a runtime of about 20 to 24 minutes max. Not to mention the infamous crunch deadlines that have spread across most major creative industries. So I wanted to know specifically what fans thought was wrong with the animation. So I searched, I fixed Invincible's animation, and these were the results on YouTube. There's at least 3 channels with 2.3 million views between them, with similar videos fixing the animation. After watching these, I realized the fans' problem with Invincible's animation isn't the animation itself, it's mostly the compositing, the near-end process of the animation. Other channels have also pointed this out, Shout out to Pingy. Like, they have a great video on this topic, and it's in part what informs my thoughts on Invincible's animation. The most valid critiques to the animation of Invincible are that the camera movements feel akin to a television show rather than an animated show adapted from a comic series. The character animation can look flat or stiff against the CG or digitally painted background, especially when there isn't a lot of VFX or compositing done in the show. That's not to dunk on the compositors they have. I think they're doing their best with what they got, but they are a small team. There's only about 4 compositors on the show, and they still have to edit 45 to 55 minutes of footage every episode to meet their deadline. Remember that the average runtime of an animated show for broadcast TV is 22 minutes. Keep in mind, the animation team isn't 4 people, okay? So I'm not saying the animation team in total is 4 people, okay? That's misinfo. We can't have that. There also seems to be a broader problem across the industry at the moment, with compositors taking on a larger workload than they can handle and having to make compromises to meet their quotas and deadlines. However, with all this in mind, some fans still have some critiques for the type of compositing that Team Maguire, the guy, and Jogador, Animator, have done, myself being one of them. It does look better, okay? The compositing they've done looks better than what is shown originally in the show, but considering the time and place of the location of the scenes, it can come across as a bit dramatic. However, the compositors on Invincible's team aren't the creative head of the show. We have to remember that. Even compositing done by fans could clash with the overall creative vision of the show from Robert Kirkman, the executive producer of the show. Someone who has never produced an animated show, and in general treats Invincible like a live action show instead of an animated show. With all that in mind, I do think the animation team at Invincible is self-aware. I think the animation team is having fun, and that's what matters despite the gripes of some unsatisfied fans. To clarify my position, I would like some of these changes to be made for the show. More dynamic camera movements, fitting for an animated show, refined compositing to make the show feel more grounded, in time and better allocated resources so the retrospective teams can make this happen. I just don't think that people should dunk on the creative team behind Invincible because of these very valid critiques. Like, there seems to be a theme online where if the animation for a show is bad or unsatisfactory for the fan base, or if there's a change in the show that the potential audience or viewers don't like, the audience absolutely verbally abuses the creative teams for these shows. To some extent, I understand the frustration of wanting your media to be good and then not seeing it portrayed in that light. But where I draw the line is taking your anger out on the people who make the show. It's not the responsibility of those who put their blood, sweat, and tears into making these shows and films to read your mind and create something perfect. It's the responsibility of upper management to help produce a show or film that most people will enjoy. And it's almost always been that way. It's not the voice actors, it's not the budget, they have plenty of money. It's about how the budget is being used. I do think they need a larger overall animation budget, and I do think they need to hire more animators, compositors, storyboard artists. But putting it simply, I don't think the animation is bad. I think the animation industry can be exploitative, and I think animation fans can be consumerist. Okay, consider this a small footnote for the rest of the video. I was originally going to do like a fake out where I was going to end the video, but then it became clear to me that this is a better option. It needs to be stated that people who like art and consume art don't always take the time to understand what goes into its creation because it isn't convenient to them. For example, this video, which is a kind of art, took me 3 days to write, days to edit, and involves me combing through Twitter threads, articles, and watching videos for me to make the best video that I can for you all to enjoy. So if you like what you're watching so far, or what you're listening to so far, because I know some of y'all are probably just listening as background noise, don't forget to like it. You know, it really does help in the algorithm or whatever. Anyway, being knowledgeable about how animation and art in general is made allows you to appreciate it even more. This is why I have a strong aversion to how capitalism and consumerism in the art community is fueling this lack of curiosity from viewers. With the rise of AI-generated media being pushed in our daily lives, I think it's become more important than ever to speak out against unfair and exploitative industry practices that are championing the convenience economy. What is the convenience economy, you ask? The convenience economy is essentially the consumer's willingness to pay for convenience over most things. Meaning that people have come to expect things to come to them quickly for a fair price, and for it to be of decent quality. Art and animation does not work on this timeline, and artists and animators are acutely aware of it. This is why a lot of us see generative AI media as a threat to our industry, not because it will completely replace animation or artists as a career, but because it will eventually replace the other jobs surrounding animation and art in general. The storyboarders, the compositors, the writers, the editors, the musicians, etc. I think wanting art and animation to be this convenient to viewers is a mistake, and further perpetuates the unhealthy consumerism in our respective industries. I also recognize that a lot of fans of animation would rather sacrifice the notoriety of their beloved series for the sake of convenience. Which brings me to the next topic. Indie animation and art projects in general are making massive strides where corporate media dominates the landscape. It's an exciting time to be an indie artist. So what is indie animation? Indie animation is basically animated shorts, films, or series that were produced outside of major corporate animation studios. Indie being short for independent. To me, indie animation is the future of animation, in part because indie animation is exactly the opposite of consumerist in my opinion. They work on broader timelines because they need to. They create high quality stories because they want the stories to be good. They take their time while meeting deadlines because they can. Many of these works are made independent of major studios, often being produced using crowdfunding, personal savings, or other independent studios.
Look at this, look at us.
I'm not looking over there,
Look at our
man.
circumstances, man. Look where we from. I'm tired of this, man. I'm sick of worrying about wick cars. I'm sick of worrying about the government. I can't eat. I'm broke. I'm broke.
Glitch is one such independent studio. I got into one of their series last year, which was The Amazing Digital Circus, the brainchild of Gooseworks, who is the creator, writer, and director of the show. I like the overall aesthetic of the show, the writing is excellent, and the character development glues me to my seat. So when I heard the show was going to get a theatrical release for the last episode of the series, I was floored. Hopefully, if I have the money by the time it releases, I still need a job. Somebody, commission me. I'll be able to see it in a theater. It gives me hope that a series that started on YouTube is going to be shown in movie theaters around the world. Maybe one day, the work that I put into my graphic novel and other projects, so many projects, will also pay off similarly. One might think that fans would also be ecstatic over this momentous event, and yet...
Artists. They only care about likes on social media. They want to go viral, have a career. I won't let them.
Some fans of The Amazing Digital Circus are upset that the show is having a theatrical release because the show will be spoiled for the fans outside of the region for the theatrical release. There's also, the fact that the internet exists, and even if you are outside of the regions of the theatrical release, that you're probably also going to get spoiled. They also think that Glitch lied because of the deal that they made with Netflix, where the production team would always release episodes first on YouTube. This has brought people to believe that Glitch is prioritizing money over their viewing experience. To some extent, I sympathize with fans who won't be able to see it in theaters early, and will likely have to avoid social media for a few weeks as to not have the viewing experience ruined by spoilers. I also think the original rollout could have been handled a bit better, so that more fans in Africa, Europe, and Asia can view it in theaters if the viewership is there. Emphasis on if the viewership is there. To clarify some of these valid critiques, Netflix isn't in charge of the theatrical release. Glitch Productions had to act as the distributor for theaters. The 2-week deal that was made with these original theaters had nothing to do with Glitch's deal with Netflix. So I wouldn't say that Glitch lied to fans about the release always being on YouTube first, since this only pertains to the Netflix deal. As for where the film is being released, I'm sure this is simply based on numbers. In order for a theatrical release to hit every continent, not including Antarctica, the film has to be very well known. Otherwise, the theater's investment on showing the film won't pay off. In other words, we live under capitalism. And if a theater in Europe, Asia, or Africa won't show the film, it's because they don't think the audience will show up for it. They are looking at their rent and cost of doing business and wondering whether or not it is worth it to show a relatively unknown film to people. However, with every valid critique in a social media landscape, there always seems to be people who take it too far. No gripe, critique, or issue with the show does not excuse the conduct of how some fans have chosen to act over this. Obviously, there's a bit of parasociality when it comes to people having expectations over the media they like and those who produce it. The reaction from fans became so toxic after a while that eventually the CEO of Glitch responded, "Hello everyone, Kevin, CEO of Glitch here. I wanted to jump in and talk directly about the theatrical release of the Digital Circus finale, and it being 2 weeks before its YouTube release. The reason we're pushing for this at all is because this one event has the potential to change how the entire industry views indie animation. If this works, if we get a YouTube animated series into thousands of theaters globally, it opens the door not just for us, but for many creators, many projects, and the future of original creator-led storytelling. To be blunt, getting to this point has been a massive uphill battle. The traditional film industry has not really done something like this before at a global scale. Like a lot of the bets we've taken over the last 8 years of running Glitch, it takes a bit of risk to truly push into new territory, but we really believe it's worth it. The 2-week gap came out of a lot of back and forth. Theaters were originally asking for a minimum of a month. I pushed hard to get it down to just 1 week or less, but they weren't willing to budge that far. 2 weeks was where we finally landed, and even that was apparently unheard of for them. I get that it's not ideal for everyone, and I genuinely hear the frustration, but if this works, it changes the game for us and a lot of other independent creators down the line. I also hear that a lot of you are frustrated because there isn't a theater near you yet. We are working around the clock to fix that. We are currently in active talks with several theater chains in many countries around the world. We're pushing for more screenings and more locations every single day. We also really want to get into theaters in our home Australia. Trust me, we do. We're just waiting for someone to respond to us. For those of you who have been respectfully reaching out to your local cinemas, thank you. It is actually working. Those emails are the best leverage we have to show theaters that there is a massive audience waiting for this. We're doing everything in our power to make this accessible as possible while still trying to move the needle for indie animation as a whole. Thanks for sticking with us. Kevin Lord Witcherghoul, CEO. It's my belief that all of this circles back to the convenience economy. People expect the show to be released on YouTube first. People expect the show to be conveniently shown at a theater near them. People expect Glitch, the distributor, to know all of this before making the theatrical release possible. This sort of reaction to me is entitled, some might say, spoiled. All of this made me feel like the fans didn't even care about the media they were watching. It made me feel like they were only into it for the clout of being into an indie production, for whatever clout that is. Like, genuinely, there's so much more important things going on in the world right now, and they chose to get on the internet and comment this. There are many others like this, a loud, vulgar, vocal minority that can't stand it when they don't get exactly what they want and nothing less. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure this person is probably like an entitled, stupid child and not a bot. It still pisses me off that people think like this about such a labor-intensive form of art. Don't even get me started on the fans who hate certain characters. This circles back to my belief that animation fans have no idea what goes into creating the animated media that they consume. A lot of fans genuinely are uncurious about what goes into creating their favorite show and simply want to consume it. Fans want indie animation to be supported, but if that doesn't meet their standards of support and success, they dunk on the creators. To put it simply, fans don't want to work to make sure the series they like is properly supported and succeeds. These fans want convenience. They want their merchandise delivered fast, the films they like in every theater they can attend, and to be able to give feedback however they like. Some fans have even gone so far as to say that the Amazing Digital Circus doesn't classify as an indie production solely based off of its theatrical release. There are healthier ways to express your anger and disappointment with the media that you like than to harass the voice actors, animators, and producers. However, not all fans are reacting with this sort of vitriol. Some fans are just upset that they might be spoiled on a show they care deeply about. And I respect that. If you want to see the film in a theater near you, contact your local theater. That's one of the first steps to having a showing. There's still some time before its June release. The theater needs to see that fans are willing and interested to see the showing. Ultimately, I think Kiana May said it best: be kind to indie artists. It takes a lot for an indie project to even see a fraction of the success and notoriety that the Amazing Digital Circus is currently receiving, in part because the fans who choose to support it and show up for the production of the show when they need it the most. Oftentimes, on the internet, when you need fans to be there for a film or show the most, they vanish. Not too dissimilar for the next topic that I want to yap about. I'll admit it, I saw the clip. I watched it because I thought it was like a marketing stunt at first. You know, some movies, they tend to like show clips and then people will retweet it and then be like, oh, they accidentally sent me a copy of the film, oh, blah, blah, blah. And then you'll just be like, oh, wow, this looks good. And then you move on with your day. I won't describe what I saw, but just know that it was beautifully animated. It sucks to talk about this. So basically, there's someone who hacked, I'm guessing, Paramount servers or whatever. Like, a hacker used an exploit to get a crew copy of the Legend of Aang film and sent it to their friend, who then shared a few clips online and eventually the full film for the lulz. This is the reason why I'm making this video in the first place. I'm sure this video is longer than I am comfortable releasing already, but I will try to break this down as concisely as I possibly can. It feels like everyone talking about this in any meaningful capacity is either being stupid on purpose or simply correct on the issue. I wasn't planning on making this video at all until one of my mutuals on TikTok made a video promoting the leak of the film and encouraging people to watch it, since the animators already got paid and Paramount should have done a better job of not letting the film get leaked. Needless to say, a lot of fans are mad at Paramount for 1, not promoting the movie, 2, denying a theatrical release of the film, and 3, allowing the leak to happen. And as much as it pains me to say, they're justifiably upset. For the record, I don't trust Paramount, I don't like Paramount, I don't think people should support Paramount as a corporation. As an economic entity, they are, by broad definitions, evil. Keep in mind, Paramount isn't the only production company or studio involved in this project. However, they are responsible for the overall production of the film and its making. For a film that's literally coming out this year, it's kind of strange that they haven't already been promoting it with trailers or sneak peeks or stuff of that nature. It is my personal belief that they never planned for a theatrical release of this film because the person in charge of Paramount is more busy worrying about the merger than they are to care about a broadly beloved IP, such as Avatar. You know, not that Avatar. No, that's owned by Disney, apparently. On that note, those in charge of the release and the distributing of the film don't see the film as worthwhile in their profit incentives. Partially because adult animation and animation in general isn't taken serious by people who are unfamiliar with the genre. Meanwhile, fans have already been spoiled because of the leak, and the smart thing for Paramount to do would be to confirm a theatrical release of the film, start promoting the film immediately, and move the release date up a few months if it's released on Paramount Plus only in October of this year. However, like I mentioned earlier, some fans have reacted a bit more poorly than others. Are you noticing a pattern?
You must break the pattern today, or the loop will repeat tomorrow. You must break the pattern today, or the loop will repeat tomorrow.
All of what I have mentioned earlier in this video about the Amazing Digital Circus and Invincible is coming back with a vengeance. There are a lot of people on social media encouraging people to watch the leaked film on the basis of distributor bad, Paramount bad, therefore it's okay to watch the film. The animators are already paid. I don't think that watching the leaked film hurts Paramount's pockets like some fans think it will, and I'll explain why in a sec. But before we get to that, Here's a few things that fans have said to justify them watching the leaked film in its entirety. Paramount deserves this for not promoting the film, which I don't necessarily disagree with, but I think the framing of this is wrong. It's not about Paramount, it's about the workers. Paramount as a corporation deserves to be put in its place for how all of this was handled, but they're not the ones that this leak affects the most. It's those who worked on the film. A modern political equivalent would be like nuking the entire country of the United States in Minecraft because of what Trump is doing in the Middle East. Trump has a bunker for such an occasion, and not everyone on this continent or even across the world deserves nuclear hellfire and nuclear winter just because of one idiot. Not to mention, this isn't the first time that the Avatar franchise has been royally screwed over by Paramount. Last Airbender was supposed to have a 4th season. They ended up releasing the 4th season as a comic series, which was really good, by the way. I suggest everybody read it. And don't get me started how they chose to release The Legend of Korra. There's also fans upset that the film didn't keep the original voice actors, but I think this was more of a scheduling conflict with the original voice actors more than anything. Not to mention the characters in the movie are all adults, so they're not gonna sound exactly like they sounded when they were teens. Some fans have also said things like, the animators should have boycotted Paramount because Paramount is a Zionist company.
These Adam white dudes be on my For You, babe.
We live in a Zionist society.
These Adam white dudes be on my For You, babe.
I really wish I was making this up. Nickelodeon is owned by Paramount, and by proxy, Avatar Studios is owned by Paramount. I do not like that this is the arrangement, but it is what it is. I also don't like that Adult Swim is soon to be owned by Paramount, but I still like the media that Adult Swim shares and produces. Here's the kicker. You don't have to like the company that produces the media you like, but you do have to respect those who made the animation you consume, and we'll get to why soon enough. Other talking points I've seen repeated have been, if I were working at Paramount, I wouldn't care about the leak. But you don't work at Paramount? Like, you're not working, you don't work at Paramount. The animators aren't losing any money over the leak. How do you know? How do you know that, actually? I'm gonna disprove this one later, but like, how do you know that the animators aren't losing money over the leak? Like, seriously, what is your source on this? Because I have not found one source to corroborate that claim, like, at all. Another thing that people have been saying around social media is, it's Paramount's money being lost. Oh, my sweet summer child. No, it's not. For the most common talking point that I've seen for watching the film stems around something like, oh, well, I was gonna pirate it anyway. Which to some extent I think is fair, but misinformed at best. Even one of the animators said they would prefer if the movie was pirated after the promotion period and release, because at least then the movie gets a bit more notoriety and those who worked on it can get more work because of the exposure they got working on such a film. Yes, I know, you're like, animators get paid with exposure? Yes, that's literally how animation works. You make a project, people see the project, people who are interested in hiring more animators look at your name on the list of animators of a project they like, they might hire you. That's literally how that works. That's why there's credits at the end of movies and animated shows. That's why that's there. So that way other people who are watching the show who can hire animators look at that and go, oh, I like that person's work, I'm gonna hire them. It's that simple. It's that simple. To say it plainly, it was not cool that the hacker shared the entire film. It would have been better if the movie was pirated after the release than before the release, because now at least 8 million people and counting. I haven't checked on it in a minute, but you know, they keep taking them down, but they're out there if you look for them. You know, it's still there. At least 8 million people have seen the film. Who's to say that they see the film or share any of the promos surrounding the official release, pirated or not? Who's to say that they would get a free week subscription of Paramount Plus and then cancel to watch the film? Who's to say that if there is a theatrical release, that they'll go and watch it in theaters? It's not about Paramount making more money. It's about the film's reputation among audiences more than anything else. The film's reputation is what helps those who worked on a project get other jobs in the industry. So, to reiterate, the issue isn't necessarily piracy, it's the lack of promotion from Paramount and ultimately the leak of the entire film. Some fans have, let's say, taken an extreme approach to how this should be handled by promoting the leak of the film because they think that this will hurt Paramount and not the production team of the movie. Did I mention that these fans have no idea what they're talking about? I feel like I've said it, but I don't know if I said it, so I'm just going to say it again. These people, they don't know what they're talking about. A lot of people, including the artists who worked on the film, have correctly pointed out that you can support the workers by supporting the official release of the film. However, some fans are convinced that supporting the official release only means giving money to Paramount. Meanwhile, previous voice actors for the characters and the show's producers respond by stating that it's not about supporting Paramount, it's about supporting the workers who worked on the film.
Stop talking about it, and stop sharing things about it. I'm Michaela Jill Murphy, aka Jessie Flower, the original voice of Toph Beifong in the original Avatar The Last Airbender series on Nickelodeon.
The artist and production crew are employed through Avatar Studios, a production company monetarily backed by Paramount and Nickelodeon. So these folks directly under Paramount are likely receiving salary-based compensation rather than performance-based commissions. However, Avatar Studios also works with studios like Flying Bark and Studio Mir to complete their deadlines for the animation process. Flying Bark and Studio Mir are not owned by Paramount and likely aren't on salary and instead are on contract. While they're all being paid because of Paramount, the leaks and low viewership of the official release directly threatens future opportunities and industry stability for these artists. All of them. Artists at Studio Mir, artists at Flying Bark, artists at Avatar Studios, artists at Nickelodeon. All of these artists are being threatened because of this leak. You either know this to be true, or you're a spoiled child who wants their avatar now and doesn't care who's hurt in the future, even if that means yourself. Because these artists who help build the franchise that you love aren't able to get work because you decided not to support the official release of the film because you already saw the leaked film months ahead of time. There are people online calling animators bootlickers for asking, not demanding, asking fans to wait until the official film is released to pirate the film. Ultimately, I feel like this is the case of Baby's first morally gray issue. Like, everybody who's upset over people calling them out for watching the full film. Like, I'm not saying don't watch it. You know, you do what you want to do, okay? But I'm telling you, if you watch it, you either gotta get that free Paramount subscription to watch the film when it releases. You better work your butt off to make sure that Paramount actually has a theatrical release. Or at the very least, when it's released, you better promote everything about the film. Your entire timeline better be the Legend of Aang. Cause like, at the end of the day, like, it sounds rude that, oh, this is Baby's first morally gray issue. And that's because it is. But genuinely, it feels like there's a genuine disconnect between fans who think this and fans who don't. Because fans who don't think like this understand that Paramount is a bad company. They understand what goes into making a feature-length animated film, and they understand what it takes to bring a project like this to completion. They may not be able to get a movie ticket. They might not even get a week free of Paramount Plus or a Paramount Plus subscription to watch the film once it releases. But they will make sure to promote the film. They might even buy a physical copy if a physical copy of the film is made available. Y'all calling animators bootlickers for doing their job is lame as Y'all think that animators are trying to guilt trip you into seeing a film that they spent years creating so that way you can watch it? It's the projection for me. I think y'all just feel guilty for watching the film and are too lazy to do your own research on how to support a film outside of buying movie tickets, merch, or streaming subscriptions. Think about it like this. If you're an artist, okay, and I assume some of you might be, and you're not making a living with your art, which most animators are not making a living with their art, okay? Is it okay for other people to steal it and share it online without your permission? If your answer is yes, I don't know what your issue is, but the resounding answer is no. No, that's not okay. And you know what? It sounds a bit familiar, you know? It sounds a lot like, oh, what generative AI is doing. You wouldn't want AI to steal your work, but it's completely fine when a hacker releases the paid work of hundreds of artists online whose livelihoods were relying on this release because the company above them is bad. Think, viewers! Think! What does supporting the official release of an animated project look like when you disagree with the company producing it? These are the kinds of questions you need to ask. For me, maybe sharing trailers of the film on social media. Maybe it's buying a physical copy if and when it's released, making fan art when the film is released, or sharing fan art related to the film when the film is released, checking out the work of other artists and studios who worked on the film when the film is released. It's not just Avatar Studios involved. There's also, obviously, Nickelodeon Animation, Flying Bark Studios, and of course Studio Mir. All these studios have artists who worked on the film, whose work being shared because of this film will in fact help them get more work in the future, and possibly help Avatar Studios make more Avatar related films or shows like this one in the future. Let me say that again for those who don't get it. I know I've said it multiple times at this point. For those who already got it, thank you for sticking around and watching to the near end. And for those who haven't gotten it yet, I'll say it again. Through supporting the official release of the film gains a reputation. Without that reputation, those who worked on the film aren't likely to get more work because of the film. And those who produce the film aren't likely to produce more films like that film, okay? They're literally being paid through money and exposure. I'm not joking. If the right people aren't exposed to their work because Paramount cuts their losses and, God forbids, cancels the entire film's release, or Paramount continues on like nothing happened, and then those artists don't find more work as easily because it is a word of mouth and a know someone who knows someone kind of industry. It seems very ignorant to tell people to watch the leaked version of this beautifully animated film just because the distributor is terrible. Genuinely, what does that accomplish? I could go on, but if you just thought about it for more than 5 minutes, I'm sure you can think of plenty of other ways to support the official release of a film you like without buying merchandise subscriptions or movie tickets. It's not to say that those things don't matter, because they do, but you aren't punishing a $13 billion company by watching a leaked film. They have 7 more movies coming out this year alone. Their pockets are not hurting. Trust me. But you know whose pockets will hurt if the job they've worked on for years fails to help them gain more notoriety in the industry? And I need you to not feel guilty about this, okay? I'm gonna hold your hand when I say it. It's the same people we were talking about throughout this entire video. The animators, the artists, the editors, the compositors, the people who fans seem to respect the least but rely on the most in order for them to continue consuming more animation. I'm convinced a lot of fans of this franchise aren't unique in their anti-corporate bent. 'Tis the season. However, what I do think is unique is the lack of media literacy towards what happened. Wait, actually, never mind. I don't think that's unique either. Ultimately, I don't think y'all are stupid. If you made it this far in a video, I highly doubt that. If you watched the film, I don't blame you. I want to watch it too, but I have principles and patience and respect for animation and animators. And ultimately, I just don't think that the audience, especially online, doesn't respect artists. Like, I know y'all aren't stupid. It's just too bad that you're impatient, entitled, and spoiled. Just because a hacker does a bad thing to a bad company doesn't make what they did okay. The hacker could have easily released one clip, but they put the whole movie online. A lot of you watched it, and those of you reacting like supporting the official release is akin to supporting genocide is the only way you can justify the guilt you feel for watching something you weren't supposed to see. Promoting the leaked movie and telling people to watch it and that it's okay to watch it is feeding into Paramount's ideals surrounding the convenience economy. This is in part why major distributors and producers are moving away from investing into 2D animation. It's in part why they're putting this film on Paramount Plus instead of releasing it into theaters. Paramount thinks that y'all wouldn't go watch it in theaters. Now they know that the same people saying to watch the leak probably won't watch the film after official release, pirated or not. The leaders at Paramount don't see animation as a legitimate art form. They see it as something to make money off of. Animation takes time and a lot of effort to complete, and y'all lack the patience to see it through, all because you want to be disrespectful towards the wrong people. That's why I think y'all are spoiled. You're just entitled fans who want more content to consume. It's that simple. The issue isn't even with you watching the film before the release, though that is a major part of it. It's the lack of respect for those who worked on the film you watched because of your misplaced anger. That's not to say that your anger isn't unjustified. It is, but the least you can do after watching the leaked film is to support the official release of the film in whatever way is convenient to you. I gave you multiple ways of doing that earlier in this rant, okay? You pick one and you do it, because I swear to God, if this film isn't successful, I'm blaming the fan base. I'm blaming the fan base who watched it. Like, and the funny thing is, y'all don't even want to support the official release through convenient, easy ways. Like, it doesn't take much effort to watch a film, but it takes countless hours of effort to animate a film. The part of the fan base that's promoting the leaked version of the film, that's saying that anybody who's saying that you shouldn't watch the leaked version of the film are bootlickers to Paramount and that they're Zionists or whatever. I need y'all to accept your mistakes and make more informed choices in the future. If you watched this far, I'm gonna do a little self-promo again. Check out my comic that I'm doing with my friend. It's in the description. There's also like a link to a bunch of the artists who worked on the film. Check them out if you have the time. There's some real skilled people in that list. Like, seriously, if you have Twitter, or you know, if you're looking for art to be commissioned or whatever, like, check them out. Support the official release. I'm gonna keep doing what I do. You keep doing what you do, and I'll see you next time. Peace. and it involves me combing through Thritter. Okay, yeah, we need to make that happen. Meaning these works are made independent of major studios, often. Excuse me. As for where the film is being released, I'm sure it's simply based on numblers.